If you are watching this video, you are already winning at life, or at least you are on the right path. There's a great wise quote from someone on the internet. Arguing on the internet is like running in the Special Olympics. Even if you win, you're still stupid. There's certain games that are just not worth playing because even if you win, the prize you get is so meaningless that the whole thing is just pointless. And at this point, it's pretty safe to say that participating in modern society is absolutely one of those types of games. We live in a society that judges you as a winner or loser based on how well you play the game it wants you to play. And the conditions for winning this game are things such as getting a job, making money, getting married, and starting a family, so on and so forth. The problem is, the game itself is just like the Special Olympics, or arguing on the internet. Even if you win, what exactly is your reward for winning? Let's break it down. 85% of people hate their jobs. They're only working because they need the money. I'm a pretty honest and objective person. As much as I personally dislike work, if the overwhelming majority of people like their jobs, I would be like, okay, cool, that's a pretty decent prize you get for winning the game. But clearly, it's the exact opposite. Speaking of money, this is the supposed prize you get for playing the game you hate. This is also the cope justification that delusional boomers and corporate shills use to try and force you into working. Well, even if you don't like your job, you work so that you can at least earn money to support yourself. Yeah, except you can't even do that with a job anymore. Jobs these days pay such dog shit wages, and when you combine it with how insanely sky-high inflation and living costs are now, a job doesn't even pay you enough money to cover your living expenses anymore. In a lot of cases, jobs now actually don't even pay you enough to cover how much it costs to actually have a job in the first place. Having a job isn't free. You have to have a car, an apartment in the city center, degrees and certifications and so forth. Money itself is an illusion too. I think we've all seen that in the last 4 years. You work hard all day to make money that loses half of its value whenever the government feels like pressing the print button. This is the game society wants you to play, and tell me how this is any different from winning an argument on the internet or winning the Special Olympics. Even if you win, you still lose. Even if you win, your prize is a job you hate that you're stuck at for 10 hours a day to get paid money that's going to lose half its value in a couple of years anyways. As all you Gen Z chads out there put it perfectly, the game is rigged. The only way to win is to not play. Part 2. How rigged is the game? Playing society's game will lead to nothing but misery for most people. We all agree on this. In this dog shit economy, most people are not going to find a good or even decent paying job, no matter how much they try. But let's hypothetically say you are one of the lucky few who quote-unquote wins society's game of getting a good career and making money. What do you actually win? Is the prize for winning even worth it at this point? Well, let's find out. Let's say you are one of the lucky few who wins society's rigged game. Let's say you're a top student throughout high school and college, and you graduate and find a good job that pays around $70,000 a year. This is pretty much the best case scenario you can achieve if you play society's game. First of all, you're likely going to lose all your time, freedom, and sanity, as any high-salary job is going to be insanely demanding and stressful. You're not going to be able to actually enjoy life, which is kind of the whole point of living. Now, this is nothing new. Work always sucked, and no one ever disagreed with this. What is new, however, is the fact that the prize you got for working and having a successful career in the past was arguably worth it. Sure, you might sacrifice some short-term misery at the office, but in the long term, you'd be rewarded with a house, financial freedom, and eventually the ability to retire. This just isn't the case anymore. Today, even if you win society's game and make $70,000 a year, you're never going to be able to afford a house, a family, or be able to retire. For one, if you're making $70,000 a year, chances are you had to go to college and take out an insane amount of student loan debt. This is already going to significantly cut into your $70,000 salary. When you combine that with just how ridiculous the cost of living is these days, you're going to be living essentially paycheck to paycheck anyways. In fact, there have even been many reports of people making upwards of $100,000 who are still struggling to get by in this economy. Of course, you could try and circumvent the student loan debt issue by going into the trades, something that a lot of people are touting as a solution for young men today. But this might be even worse. One of the main prizes society supposedly offers for playing its game is the reward of retirement. Now, young people today have already seen that working 65 years to enjoy your last 15 years, when you're too old and fragile to do anything anyways, is a bit of a scam. But it gets even worse than that if you go into the trades. The decent-paying jobs that don't require a college degree almost all come with severe health consequences that will absolutely drive you to an early grave before you even reach retirement age. For example, truck drivers can make decent money without needing to go to school, but the average lifespan of a truck driver is only 62 years, meaning they won't even get to enjoy the retirement that society promised them. On top of all this, because of how bad the economy is now, the Social Security Fund is rapidly drying up, and our generation is unlikely to see it anyways by the time we are of retirement age. So hopefully you get the point by now. Being a winner in this society is like winning the Special Olympics or winning an argument on the internet. Even if you win, you still lose. Even if you are one of the very best at playing this game, all you do is sacrifice your health, happiness, and freedom for money that's lost half its value the last 4 years, for an imaginary hypothetical house that you'll never be able to afford, for a retirement that you won't even live long enough to see if you bother playing society's game. There is no winning. Even if you win, you lose. Even if you succeed, you fail. Part 3. A new paradigm. Let's be clear about one thing. I'm not one of those people who believes that you should play soccer without a ball and that everyone's a winner. Unfortunately, there are successes and failures in life. That's just a reality. I would say, however, that society's way of using money as the only metric to determine success is really outdated and simple-minded. For one, because, as we've seen the last 4 years, money is just an illusion that's at the mercy of inflation. And for two, because money itself isn't free. We need to evaluate how much time, health, and freedom was sacrificed in order to obtain said money. I recently traveled to Italy to meet up with one of my good friends who was one of few millennials like myself who saw how BS the system was. This guy was my partner in crime when it came to saying F you to society. 10 years ago, we were the first and only millennials saying we'd rather die than work a 9-to-5 before Gen Z completely popularized it. We ended up taking two completely different paths in our own journeys of escaping the 9-to-5. I ended up just traveling 25 countries and volunteering while he invested in cheap real estate. He recently got a nice place in Italy by the beach, and we were having a conversation over pizza and wine when he said something very interesting. He told me that when you factor in everything and not just money, he actually considers himself the richest person in the world. Now, this guy has a net worth of nearly $1 million, which is definitely good, but nowhere near Elon Musk's $400 billion. So, how did he come up with this conclusion? Simple. Everyone who's richer than him had to sacrifice way more time, health, and happiness to obtain their riches. He has enough money to comfortably afford everything he wants, and he really doesn't need anything more. He doesn't have to work a 9-to-5, doesn't have to pay taxes, has all the time in the world to eat healthy and exercise and pursue his passions. When I thought about what he said, I actually agreed with him. Money isn't the only resource in life, and it's really stupid that society views it that way. Of course, you need to have some baseline minimum to survive, but once that's met, the law of diminishing returns hits hard. At that point, you should prioritize other things in life such as time, freedom, and fulfillment. But this does leave a burning question. How do you get there? Part 4. You are already on your way. As I said in the beginning of the video, if you are watching this video, you are already well on your way to beating society's game if you haven't already. This is because the first step towards escaping the system is realizing how BS it is in the first place. As Kydland's Law puts it perfectly, Once you can clearly write down the problem, the matter is already half resolved. Since you already realize that society's game is BS, you won't waste your time with going to college, racking up a ton of debt, sacrificing your health to climb a stupid corporate ladder for a 5% raise that's going to get dwarfed by inflation anyways. You realize that true success and victory is by getting out of this game, not by winning it. And this puts you ahead of 99% of people who are still trying to win this meaningless game of who can be the biggest cuck for a society that doesn't even care about you. In fact, you guys are already ahead of where my friend and I were at the same age. I didn't realize this until my mid-20s, and it took him until he was in his late 20s to realize how bullshit society's game is. But once we realized that, that's what inspired us to take the major action we needed to in order to stop playing this stupid rigged game and pursue an alternative path in life. Now, there are many, many alternative life paths you can pursue to escape society's rigged game these days. From traveling to living in a van to extreme survivalism. We thoroughly researched all these options and put them in a comprehensive tier list video, which you can check out right here. I'll see you there.